One. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Paul Reed Smith is an internationally known guitar maker, musician, and guitar player. Those facts are brilliantly evidenced on the debut album from his Eightlock band, Lions Roaring and Quicksand, which releases December 1st on Steele Records, distributed by Amplified Distribution. The first single, Breathe, will be released on Friday, November 10th. This group of highly respected and world-renowned musicians have a lot to say musically and spiritually. Paul Reed Smith says it's been an absolute joy to be the catalyst for their gifts, resulting in the music found in Lions Roaring and Quicksand. Added guitar vocalist Bill Nelson, the musicianship in Eightlock is extraordinary. But what amazes me most is that the music, both the recordings and live performances, just keep getting better and better. Locking into an Eightlock groove is a dream. And dynamic lead singer Mia Samone Davis summed it up by saying, creating the CD reminded me that peace is the price when the mind is at war. Inner peace is priceless. In addition to performing and recording with his own band, Paul Reed Smith has played with artists such as Santana, Alter Bridge, and the Doobie Brothers. He was honored by Vintage Guitar magazine as a Hall of Fame inductee in 2011. Paul has countless industry connections through all of his artists that endorse his guitars, plus invaluable marketing opportunities through his guitar company and all of the music stores around the world that sell his guitars. Please welcome the founder of PRS, the world's third leading guitar making company, and founding member, guitarist for Eightlock band, Paul Reed Smith, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Paul.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I want to be clear about one thing. We're the third largest electric guitar maker in America.
Okay.
You know, that doesn't include Taylor and Martin on the acoustic guitar side, but it's an honor to be in that position. I guess I'll always be the we try harder company, you know.
Well, that's a good thing. First of all, we have a lot in common here because my stomping grounds is Annapolis, Maryland. I grew up in Maryland. I'm in Florida now for the last 20 years, but I was actually a top 40 DJ at WNAV in Annapolis. Do you know that station?
Uh-huh.
Yep. And Pat Sajak bought it. I think he sold it recently, but I was there in 79 and the beginning of the 80s. And I bought my first guitar at Chuck Levin's in Wheaton. I worked at the Capitol Center in the 70s. And my dad and me both owned retail electronics stores from the 60s and 90s in DC. And I frequently visited the Ram's Head Tavern, and I get a lot of my interviews from there as well. So, yep, I'm one of you.
I grew up that's great. You came from our stomping ground. So for me, it was WANN on the radio when I was
right.
Happy Adams. And, you know, you're talking about things that are dear to my heart. Wow. You came from here. That's great.
I did. Good old West Street. That was where the radio station was on. And we used to, every Christmas, we used to go to the mall there, the Annapolis Mall for Christmas. Yeah. The good old days. I like seeing your early interviews in your younger day because you look like
I had a big mop of hair.
You look like a prog rock artist, man.
That's great.
You look cool.
Yeah, well, that old bald.
Yeah, it's awesome. You look really cool. You look like a lot of the friends I grew up with.
My hair was so long at one point, you know, get out of the shower, wring it out like a towel.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to blow dry it or comb it or anything.
I had a mop.
Well, the new album. Okay, you ready to hear what I said about it? I said, Lions Roaring in Quicksand by Paul Reed Smith and his band Eightlock is a sensational album. The album epitomizes R&B folklore while spotlighting the commanding soulful voice of Mia Samone Davis, backed by an all-star cast of seasoned musicians who have all performed with a legion of legends.
Yeah.
Master guitar builder Paul Reed Smith infuses incredible rock guitar licks into the mix, creating a superb balance of rhythm and blues and rock. 5 stars. Is that okay?
More than okay. You know, these musicians, most of them have been supporting other musicians their whole life. So Greg Granger was in Whitney Houston's band, and Dennis Chambers was in Parliament Funkadelic, and they were in Santana, and God knows how many other Steely Dan, and Gary played with John Scofield, and it's just so many supporting musicians, and their job in that situation is to literally morph themselves into what those artists need from them. But I kept saying over and over and over again when they were in the room, I don't want you to do what you think I want. I want as much Dennis as I can get, as much Greg as I can get, as much Juju as I can get, as much Gary as I can get, as much Mia as I get. I can't tell you how many times I said to Mia, what do you want to do? Extracting their musicianship when they have turned themselves brilliantly into multi-genre musicians is very, very interesting. And I think I got it. I think I got them to be themselves. I mean, the beginning of War, that's Dennis's fill. What they played was just, when we were mixing the record, what they played was astounding.
It is.
I didn't really understand. In War, we swung the tune, but in the other part, it's been straight. So we went back and forth between swing and straight, which is very unusual, but they really enjoyed doing it. I remember calling Dennis and going, I want to do War. And he goes, well, do we still do that? In other words, as a human race, do we still war? And I went, And he goes, let's do it. And that was the end of the conversation. I think, we still do that. And then the Ukraine war happened, and then the Israeli war happened, and the Syrian war was right before it. And it hurts to watch the news. It's hard.
It is.
And it's, the Edwin Starr tune was written during the Vietnam War. And, we're still, as Dennis said, we still do that, don't we? And so, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. I'm not sure that's completely true, because it's the job of our military to take care of protect us. But the results of it are worth nothing, So
yeah, I know what he's saying, though. Yeah, he destruction and young kids getting killed and things like that. I guess that's what. Yeah.
And then Mia said at the end of the tune twice, she goes, I don't want to send my kids to war. I don't want to send my kids to war, which I thought wasn't in the original, but I thought it was beautiful what she had lived. I thought it was beautiful.
Let me tell you something, man. Mia is incredible. Where did you find her?
Well, she's from West Baltimore.
Really?
Her mother was the piano player, one of the best gospel choirs in Baltimore. So her mother brought her, she was the youngest of all these kids. Her mother brought her to these rehearsals because she was a piano player at 3. She was a full-time member at 6. She learned how to sing at the knee of all the great singers in Baltimore.
Wow. And
she can sing, as Dennis said when he met her. Where you been my whole life? She goes, I live down the street from you. When we hired her, she sang a tune called Runaway Train, and she just burned it down. And Gary and Greg were walking out of the studio. They said, hire her. It's not going to go well, but hire her. I said, what do you mean? They said, well, it's going to be the PRS band. Then it's going to be the PRS band with Mia. Mia and the PRS band. Then it's going to be Mia, and we're going to be an afterthought. And I called her up and I said, they're scared that you're going to, do what a lot of lead singers do. She goes, I don't think so. I'm very easy to get along with, and I'm too appreciative. I see this as an immense opportunity. and
Mhm.
she busted her ass to get this record done. She kept coming down and coming down and coming down. I mean, those backup vocals, I mean, it took three and a half years to record this record.
Wow.
And not one time has it ever been said, Eightlock with Mia or Mia with Eightlock. You're the first one. You're going, the singer's really good, right? I think she's got a remarkable voice. What I wanted was for her to deliver the words of the songs, not
Mhm.
be a vocal acrobat. And I
Right.
think she did it well.
You know, her blend, her tone is perfect. It's not too gospel, it's not too soul, you know, it's not, you know, too rock. It's just right. You know, it's just perfect. And she's got that kind of vocal you kind of want to hear on a James Bond soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know, I could hear her doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. Actually, a lot of that music I think is movie music. Breathe
Yeah.
is a movie tune.
Exactly.
There's gonna be some movie at some point called I Can't Breathe, and that would be a good tune for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to know what the tunes are about?
Yes. Let's start with Sarah.
My daughter was in trouble because my first marriage was breaking up, and I was really, really worried about her disposition in the world. And it was called Blue Sarah originally.
Okay.
We recorded it 4 or 5 times. This is the first time we actually got it right. And the first verse is about what's going on bad, and the second one is about a little bit of hope, and the third one is about it's better now. So that was about me. And my daughter still hates the tune, but that was about my daughter.
It's a beautiful song. It really is.
Thank you.
Who wrote? Did you write that?
And then
Wow.
Gary's the one that decided to swing it.
Oh.
I wrote it straight, and Gary wanted to go. He wanted to swing it in 7. And I remember we played it in front of Dumpster Funk one time at the Hamilton, and the band was like, the Dumpster Funk people were losing it. I turned around, it's swinging in 7, and they went, "Oh, we get it," you know. But Gary was a writer on it as well because he had decided to make it swing.
What about Never Give Up on Living? Who wrote that one?
I did. I wrote it for Dennis.
Wow.
He had a problem with his liver.
Really?
So it's never give up on your liver.
Yeah.
Never give up on living. In other words, he had a problem, and we didn't want him or any of us to give up.
Mm-hmm.
It was about our lives. When things are really bad, just don't give up.
Yeah.
And it was really bad, and he made it through it. That was the tune that the band started with. We went to Maryland Hall, which is the old Annapolis high school, really. And we went to the stage and we learned it. And I said, "What do you want to do?" And Dennis said, "Well, let's record it." So we recorded it, and we got done that one. I said, "What do you want to do?" Dennis says, "Let's do another one." It was never decided to be a record. It was done one by one until we had a record.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. That's there's a couple of songs on this album. Being a top 40 DJ back in the late 70s, I could pick a hit. And I do that with everybody I get on this show.
Which tune is it?
This one's a hit. There's 2 of them actually. Let's see, the first one, I think, well, it's going to be the next track, I think. Let me see now. Okay, I'm Ready, I think, should be a hit. That's one of them. And the other one is Phoenix in My Blood.
My daughter wrote Phoenix in My Blood.
That's an incredible tune, man.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about Phoenix in My Blood. What is that?
Well, she had, no matter how bad she felt, or she kept trying to kill this feeling, and it just, no matter what she did, it just kept coming back, and she couldn't kill it. And no matter how bad she felt or how good she felt, this repetitive feeling just kept coming back. And she wrote that tune. I said, "Sarah, this is really good." So we were going to record it, and Mia took Sarah for a walk on the phones. They were on the phone. I want you to tell me exactly what this tune is about so I can deliver the message. Mia spent time with Sarah talking to her about what was the tune. It's interesting. Phoenix in My Blood was not picked as a single.
Hmm.
A single that was picked was Look at the Moon,
Right.
which is the Chuck Brown tune.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you should be in charge of which ones we release. To have a care for the songs.
Yeah.
We adore Echoes. That's a very interesting tune.
Yes.
What do you think it's about?
You know, when I first saw it, I said, "Are they doing Pink Floyd Echoes?"
No, that's not it.
It's very soulful.
It's about the echo of slavery. It's the echo of a black crow. The real words should have been
Right.
an echo of a Jim Crow.
Huh.
So it started with Gary and Dennis not being able to get a cab in New York.
Mm-hmm.
The echo of the prejudice, and these are very, very classy people. They don't talk about it. They don't.
Right.
Wrote a tune that much better to love than to remember the pain of the echo,
Mm-hmm.
which is what it's about.
Yeah. Beautiful lyrics. Love it. You know, if anybody knows, I mean, we have a lot in common of being in Maryland, close to Baltimore, close to DC. I was actually born in Baltimore, in Catonsville, and I worked in DC for 25 years with retail stores, electronics, and all that stuff. But we were so lucky to be around R&B. I mean, we had great music in DC and Baltimore.
So can you hear the Baltimore funk and the DC go-go in the music?
Oh yeah, definitely. Sure.
I thought we were the Baltimore Washington Parkway. I thought we were the band that was connecting the two towns.
Chuck Brown, man, they were legends in DC. They played the Cap Center. I remember that.
Juju House is in the band. He's the Chuck Brown's drummer's in the band. Very interesting to watch these people go at it.
Right. I went to the Civic Center. My dad actually took me. This was before I could drive, me and my friend. And we saw Rare Earth, the Funkadelics, and the Ohio Players. And we were the only white people there out of 13,000 people. And we had a ball.
Even with Rare Earth being a white band?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're Motown. They're on the Motown label. And everybody thought they were a black band,
Oh, they were great. So look, all three of those bands you just listed were great.
Yeah.
I was at a Earth, Wind and Fire show that Richard Pryor opened up for.
You're kidding me.
No, and I was me and my brother the only white people in the building. I loved it. It was an exaggeration, but not much of one. What were the other tunes you thought were radio tunes?
Let's see. Well, I guess there were three of them. Okay. Phoenix in My Blood probably was the leader of all that, I think. And I'm Ready. Definitely I'm Ready. That's great guitar opening, very bluesy rock. And awesome guitar on that tune as well.
Thank you.
I wonder who that was.
I'm Ready. It's almost all me.
Was that Eric Clapton? No.
Michael, Bill, and I did play. All three of us played on I'm Ready. I think the solo is Michael.
I'm right.
All those beautiful little spices, that's Bill. And then the main guitar I'm playing. I added I'm Ready right at the very, very end because the record company was saying they didn't hear a radio song, so I added it.
Okay.
And we did it really quickly, and Gary came in at the last minute and played bass on it. I like I'm Ready. It's basically the tune's about I'm ready for you, and I'm going to throw everything to the wind and deal with it, but if you hurt me, you're going down in flames. I mean, that's seems. I mean, I'll give you everything I got, but oh my God, you hurt me, and I'm gonna. You're not ready for the hell I'm gonna unleash on you. Which Mia loved that concept, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
West Baltimore.
Hey man, you got to be tough to live in Baltimore nowadays, especially East Baltimore.
Ray, I'd like you to talk to Mia. I would like you to tell her what you think.
I'd love to have her on the show anytime she wants. She's open invitation.
Well, how do I? So, Mia, I'm making a note. I'm done. Okay. She has so much to share. By the way, she's a hoot.
Yeah.
And she's really bright.
Right.
You don't get to sing that well. Can I tell the story of how I met her?
Of course.
So we were looking for a singer. Paul Rogers, the great singer from Bad Company, was supposed to come to our event to sing, and he canceled the last minute. We needed a singer. And I called Kevin Walker, who was playing bass in Justin Timberlake's band, another Anna Pollard.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought me Mia, and I said, we were driving in the car, and she's sitting next to me. I said, well, and it was an audition. I said, well, sing. She goes, stop it. She goes, what's wrong? I said, that's not what I'm looking for. She goes, that's how I was taught. I said, acrobatics is not what I want. And I looked at her, I said, would Aretha do that? Mm-hmm. She goes, no. I said, exactly. So Kevin and I put her in my house, and we stood up on the balcony over my living room, and she was down in the room, and we had her sing an old Paul Rogers tune. Baby, baby, be my friend. Baby, baby, be my friend. I will love you to the very end. We had her sing it over and over and over again until she only sang the melody. And we looked at her and we said, that's what we want, Mia. Mm-hmm. She goes, I could do that. And that was the end of the conversation. She sang it, and Paul Rogers, guitar player, Howard Leese from Heart, came to the event. And I said, how did Mia do? She said, she brought it.
Yeah, yeah.
She sang the tune. Mm-hmm. That's been letting her go into that gospel acrobat thing.
Exactly.
I let her do several times on the record. I didn't stop her as long as she was delivering the tune. Mm-hmm. And she has converted into a rock R&B funk singer, not a gospel acrobat. Mm-hmm. She did it beautifully, I think. What a voice. Oh my God.
She's fantastic.
She's like a wild Mustang. Can you hear when we had to put ropes on her and try to control her, you know? You should have heard some of the stuff that came out of her mouth. That
all the great singers, man, came from gospel. I mean, and from singing in church. And I talked to Ian Gillan, you know, of Deep Purple. He even came from church. You know, they all came from church. Yeah, definitely.
That makes a lot of sense. What a voice he's got.
Yeah. You know, I'm friends with his B.B. King's daughters. I know them very well. They're really cool. Yeah.
Never met them.
Yeah. They both sing, of course. They do a lot of tributes to their dad.
How many times was B.B. King married?
Bunch.
Okay. You know what his most famous tune is? The Thrill Is Gone.
Yeah, The Thrill Is Gone. I sing that now at my age. Oh God. So I am so happy that you put Love and Happiness on this album, because I'm a big Al Green fan.
You know why?
Why?
Nobody ever turns that tune off.
Yeah, that's true.
The only tune in the world that I know.
Very observant.
Nobody turns off. If Love and Happiness comes on Spotify, radio, Alexa, whatever, nobody turns it off. And I was like, that's a rare bird. I hope Al Green hears the tune before, at some point. I would love him to be forwarded that.
I think I've got his PR people and his manager. I tried to get him on the show once. Yeah,
that would be. I would.
I'll forward it. I'll forward it over to him.
I would love to hear what he has to say.
Yeah,
I thought she did a good job with it.
She did a fantastic job on it.
You know, we played it a little slower. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did.
Teeny bit slower. It was a little sexier, slower. And the
You know,
music,
I'm glad Al Green went, to be a reverend and all that stuff, but I miss him. I miss him being in the limelight, as a singer. I really do. He's
you want to hear
great.
something interesting about the tune?
What's that?
There are fills in the middle of some of the choruses because
Right.
it was cut up and put together.
Ah,
And if you measure the tempo of the tune at the beginning and the end,
uh-huh.
one beat per minute slower at the end than it is at the beginning because the musicians laid into some ridiculous groove that they locked into.
Hmm.
But
That's interesting.
That was fascinating to me. Absolutely. What a tune. By the
It's
way,
great.
it's not so easy to play.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Maybe on keyboard, that's about it.
I played that on guitar through a Leslie.
Huh.
What a lick. Whoever came up with that should be given an award.
Man in the Moon.
That's Michael Alt tune.
Yeah.
Dr. John DC song.
Little Electric Funk.
Yeah, you should recognize it as a DC group.
Yep.
It's almost One Night in Bangkok.
Right.
Or Dirty Laundry.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
I like that tune.
Yeah. Great track, man. Great track.
The chorus of the song is the guitar harmony.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, you listen to the record. I love it.
Of course, man.
Absolutely love it.
When people send me books, I read the whole book before I do the interview. And I mean, this is the enjoyable part of doing what I'm doing as a music journalist, I love the music. So music saved my life.
So we hit War and we hit Love and Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And we what were the other two? There were 4 covers, 99, and what was the other one? I'll remember it in a minute. Here, I've got it right here. Hold on a second.
Well, I Doctor, that was a cover, right?
Yeah, the people asked us to do their song in English. They requested that. Yeah,
that was a very hip track.
I Doctor, 99 is fascinating. That was a hit in Europe. It was the biggest hit in France for a long time. It's an electronic music tune done by Elliot Moss, and we made it sound like Queen.
Yeah. Paul Reed Smith plays Queen.
Actually, the chords in 99 are Bad Company chords.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know. I don't know. You're being so sweet about all this.
I just like great music. That's what it's all about. There's reggae in that too, 99, right? The reggae. Yeah.
And there's the main reggae tune is Beyond the Moon. I don't think there's a little bit of reggae in there. Yeah. These like reggae, but they also like police reggae, which is a little different. It's a little more a mixture of rock and reggae,
Exactly.
So,
what are you going to say here?
I don't know, but I'm sure.
Oh yeah, He's the One. Now, He's the One could also be a hit in the country genre. I hear a little country in that tune. So
really,
could also be a country hit song. He's the One. I definitely hear that.
You want to hear something fascinating about that tune?
What's that?
There's no bass player. I don't have an amp in here, otherwise I would do it. I can tell you, look, the guitar is going
which sounds like a bass.
Yeah, but we did it on guitar and put an octave down on a program. So look, I like that tune. I wrote that tune 20 years ago.
Nah, Really?
And I always liked it. I used to sing it. I used to sing it in a band a long, long time ago. And when the record company wanted another radio tune, I called Mia and said, let's do She's the One.
Right.
She couldn't say she's the one. I guess she could in this today's day. But it's for her, it's He's the One.
Awesome song.
Cool.
Driving at Night. That's another.
Yeah, Driving at Night is a blues
Yep.
that Gary warped. It changes keys.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. I love how the guitar takes over the song, you know.
At the end, is that okay?
Yeah.
Was
that's
it too
great.
long at the end?
No, it's incredible.
So basically, what happens in a blues tune is
Right.
the song goes from the 1 to the 4 to the 1 to the 4 to the 1 to the 5. That's how it works. Gary went, I went, what are you talking about? Let's go to the minor third. I played it for John Mayer. He goes, I've never heard anybody do it before, Paul.
Huh.
I mean, so it was going from, it was changing keys constantly. And I just thought what Gary came up was brilliant. I was like, you want a what? He says, go up a minor third. Unbelievable.
And we're talking about Gary Granger.
Yeah, well, Gary
Yeah.
was Dennis Chambers' partner in John's.
Right.
I mean, what kind of musician must be to be Dennis's bass player? You know,
Mm.
just extraordinary musician, and he drops these gems like Swing in the beginning of Blue Sarah or whatever. And he was the one that came up with the groove in Love and Happiness. He
Yeah.
was demanded that it be the way it was. And I played it for the old A&R for Columbia. He goes, nobody's ever got that groove again.
Mhm.
So that's Gary. It's
Yeah.
a way to be around him. He was the one that played bass on every single thing except for He's the One, which I played on guitar, which is
Mhm.
spiritually wrong, but it did it.
Well, 5 stars all the way, man. I love the album.
Do you want me to send you a bunch of copies? Do you want some copies?
Yeah. I'll sell that out of the trunk of my car.
I don't want you to sell them. You can give them away. Like, that's fine. Never mind. I won't send them.
Yeah, send them. I'm going to send you. I need to get your email because I want to send you my book. I'm also an author, but you're going to love this book.
My email is really, really simple. I'll get it to you.
Okay.
The most simple email of all time.
You're going to love this book. It's called The Rockstar Chronicles.
I've seen it.
It's 45 interviews. I mean, I've got Johnny Winter. I've got all of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. A lot of guys have passed away. Tony Joe White, you know.
Unbelievable.
These are all guys that should have your guitar.
Listen, I think we covered a lot of ground today. These musicians had a lot to say.
Yep.
Say musically. They were combining genres, which is how I started, but I wanted them, not their, just their ability to play in any kind of music. And I kept saying, I want what you guys would do. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? The reason we called it Lions Roaring and Quicksand is because the strength of these musicians, and in the face of what's going on in the war in Israel, in the face of what's going on in the war in Ukraine, and all this, face of all the shootings, we feel like we're roaring in quicksand. That's how it feels to us. We feel strong and we feel like we've got something, but the quicksand around us is really hard to deal with.
It is.
We're not dying. We're not drowning. It doesn't say lions dying in quicksand, but we feel like we're roaring in quicksand. That's where it came from. And in Breathe, Mia says, I'm a lion roaring in quicksand. That's where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the first single tune.
So not only are we're looking at the wars, but we're looking at the wars in our own backyard with these crazy maniacs that are shooting people, out of nowhere, like what just happened in Maine, right?
It's awful. It's just
horrible, isn't it?
It's hard to deal with. We have shooter training, and sometimes the state police say it's not if, it's when.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Scary.
You know why I moved to Florida?
I have no idea, Ray. Why'd you move to Florida?
3 reasons. One, my daughter wanted to go to FSU. Okay. The second one was because of the shooter in the trunk. Remember those 2 guys in the trunk of the car that were shooting people at gas stations?
That was at my junior high. That was
Really?
Astor Junior High School.
It made you afraid to go to a gas station, right? I was hiding from in the pumps and stuff. I was insane. And then we had a big tornado. I lived in Waldorf in Southern Maryland, and La Plata that had that big tornado that kind of wiped out the town. And those three reasons, and
So I'm going to throw one at you. I used to play at the Dragon Lounge in La Plata.
you're kidding me.
No.
Oh man.
Remember the Chinese restaurant?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we used to play there. That's
Wow. How about that?
On the way home, there was a 7-Eleven in Waldorf. We used to stop to get food on the way home. And we used to stop there so much, the band told me I was going to glow in the dark from eating food. True story.
So you remember the old days of the Stardust and
I just played there.
the gambling and all that stuff?
The only reason they let us play there is the bands that were there needed to borrow our equipment. I didn't understand what the deal was. If we opened up for them, they all looked at us as, can we use your amplifiers? And I was like, you got used.
Did you know Danny Gatton by any chance?
Well, we shared a band together.
That's folklore, DC folklore. Him, Roy Buchanan. I
built a guitar for Roy. His Mastiffs almost killed me.
Really?
Not a good scene.
Oh, wow.
To be sound man for Danny.
Right.
Friends of mine were at the funeral and opened the casket. He had not been treated well before he passed away.
Oh gosh.
So that was complicated. Danny's protege, Jay Montrose, works here.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing Danny said to me, he says, I want you to make me a guitar that looks like an F5 mandolin. As the last words I heard out of his mouth. We were sharing a band.
Mm-hmm.
His bass player and drummer were in my band and his band. So I was at the service when he passed, and the press all showed up. And I said, you can't come now. And they said, we've been ordered to. So I went to John Preverty and I said, John, they want to interview. If they give them the interview, they'll leave.
Yeah.
John went over, gave them the interview, and the whole press left. It was that's DC integrity,
right.
Beautiful way of being. They were there because they were ordered to, and they gave everybody the space. A second they got what they needed. We used to play downtown at the, at the Crazy Horse and the Keg and the Desperados. I made my living in showing guitars to people in all those places. I learned how to play guitar in a bayou.
Really? Oh man, I've been to all those places many times, and of course, don't forget the cellar door.
Well, I did not forget that. That's where Happy the Man used to play.
Yeah.
They were a band. Oh my God.
I had Tom Paxton on the show recently. He was scared to death to play the cellar door. He told me.
Well, I'll get Mia on your show. And
I appreciate that.
I'm going to give you some advice, Ray. Make her sing while she's on the air.
Really? Okay.
Make her sing.
That would be awesome, man.
Make her sing. She'll sing till you're done.
That would be great. One quick question. What's the spy technology thing about?
Not spy.
It's not?
No, it's not spy, but I will explain it to you.
Okay.
My father was a mathematician.
Right.
And he got the radars to work in World War II.
Oh, cool.
Electrical engineer. Thank God for that. Saved the war in a way.
Yeah.
So his boss, they had one working radar they invented in England. They had one of them, and GE made a bunch of copies of them, and they didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So my father was 23, 24, and his admiral said, Jack, build us a company to build these things now.
Mm-hmm.
We hired trumpet companies to build the copper tubing the brass tubing for the coax cable. And they built a bunch of them and got them to work. And that was sold off after the war. That's called Raytheon radar. So I was my father's student, and we just made a deal with Fubo for using the code that we came up with to reduce the bandwidth to half and make the picture twice as good. So you pay half as much money for the bandwidth and you get twice as good a picture. So it's also got real impact in the medical world.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I was my father's student, and things have expanded beyond guitars.
Wow.
But you have a record because we love music. We don't like it. We love it.
Exactly.
We adore it. I'll get Mia on your show. She'll make her sing Amazing Grace. Make her sing.
Oh
Make her
man.
sing a cappella. She's wonderful.
Yeah. I love her, man. She's incredible.
You could have her sing Love and Happiness a cappella on the show.
That would be great.
No problem.
You mentioned the technology, and I talked to Jeff Skunk Baxter about his role with the U.S. government.
He likes missiles.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Of all people, Jeff Skunk Baxter with that big mustache, a military guy, that's pretty cool.
He likes the missile business. I have real hopes in the medical side. So
yeah, my wife's a retired nurse of 40 years. Yeah, we have a lot of nurses in our family too. Nurses and teachers. Very interesting. I was a banker for a long time too. Here's your final question, man. And I ask this question to everybody. I get some really interesting answers.
Uh-oh, here we go.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, one of my favorite movies, to perform, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
I'd want to play through Hendrix's rig at Woodstock, and then
Nice.
and then ask him afterwards if we could do another huge concert to raise money to feed children.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Because he got to play last because he was the most famous of all of them.
Right.
And his heart would have hopefully been open. But the whole thing about kids hungry, I mean, look, if you're after 18, okay, fine. You need to get a job and to be a part of working society. But a child that's 6 that's hungry, that's a real victim in my world. I don't believe victims, but when it comes to that, I do. Right. And I would want to tap somebody of that power on the shoulder to do a long-term thing, to set up a business to make sure that the food banks were better handled. But I mean, that's one answer. I got to see Jeff Beck from the side of the stage. I got to see clap. I've got to see a lot of unbelievable musicians. And we have a new genius in our business named John Batiste. And watching him combine Beethoven and gospel and blues all in 30 seconds on Chris Wallace's thing was unbelievable. But for me, I don't know, it would have been just a joy to meet Hendrix. It would have been a joy to collaborate with somebody like that. I mean, I walked into the Fender booth once, and it would have been 10 years after Stevie Ray Vaughan died. And I put my hands in the air. I said, I can't deal with you guys. You're making a living on 2 dead people. And they laughed, but it wasn't funny really, because it was Stevie Ray Vaughan and Hendrix were still selling Stratocasters. Yeah. I wished that at the time I was not making guitars when he passed away. I wished, I mean, at this point, musicians need tools to do jobs. What an honor it would have been to combine charity and the
exactly power, I agree. Yeah.
That he had in the world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Asking a complex question. What was the best answer you got of all of them?
Well, Paul McCartney, I get that a lot, of course, but Robin Trower, you would think Hendrix. He told me James Brown, because he's very much influenced by R&B. Petula Clark was very interesting. Petula Clark told me Pink Floyd. She wanted to be part of Pink Floyd, like maybe one of the singers or something like that. So I get some really interesting answers off the wall stuff. Yeah.
My answer came from John Mayer. Asked me once what rig would I wanted to play through. I said I would have liked to have heard the Hendrix rig playing the Star Spangled Banner. I would have played through and experienced what that felt like. You got to remember, they weren't using microphones very much. They were playing through PAs of their own.
I know.
I mean, the reason there were 8 speakers with 200-watt amps is because they needed to be heard out the audience. Oh my God. When I first played through the Hendrix rig that we got permission to make from the Hendrix Foundation, it was a PA system. You didn't need a microphone.
Yeah.
It was loud.
Very antiquated system back then, but it sounded okay.
I thought it sounded absolutely beautiful. The Woodstock stuff. Wow, what a musician. Oh my God.
Yeah.
People that knew him well said that he was brilliant at getting his energy into the last person in the audience. He was really good at that collective energy that Springsteen was so good at. Hey, Springsteen can turn Madison Square Garden into a wooden club.
Yeah. Yeah. I know your relationship with Carlos Santana, of course. And I just wanted to tell you, I interviewed the guy who taught Carlos Santana how to play guitar. You know who that is?
No.
Javier Batis in Mexico. I interviewed him when in Tijuana. But he's the guy who actually taught Carlos Santana from when Carlos was young. And if you hear him play, he sounds just like Carlos Santana. So, I guess he was a great teacher.
Carlos grew up in the clubs playing.
Yep.
Young man in Tijuana.
Exactly.
Carlos took me to a corner once and he said, "This is where I used to stand with my guitar case open and people threw money in, and I come here all the time to remind myself where it came from."
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just powerful.
I'm still trying to get him on the show. He's busy in Vegas, I guess, but I had Cindy on the show, his wife. She's cool. She's really cool.
One way to put it.
Great drummer. I want to mention, purchased a new album by Eightlock Band. There it is. Great cover, too.
Yeah, I had it painted by someone named Brian Lutz here at work.
Yeah. Almost looks like a saber-tooth tiger, huh?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how long their teeth are. I wouldn't want it chomping into my head.
Lions Roaring in Quicksand. What a great title. What's the best place to buy that at? Should they go on the website?
Yeah, when it gets released, the distributors will have it everywhere. You'll be able to buy it.
Okay. And of course, you got the official website at www.eightlockband.com on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, everybody go to PRS Guitars, that site, and pick up a guitar today. Why not? They're great guitars.
Ray, thank you for having me on. You're a sweetheart.
Hey, man, it's a real pleasure, man. As an entrepreneur myself, what you've done is amazing. It takes perseverance, the way you kind of hung out at concerts and things like that to get to start the business going.
It all happened.
It takes a lot of nerve, and you did it.
One time I was at Capitol Center and I didn't have a pass, and I went to the ladies and I ran by when the guitar case said, "Where's the stage?" And they went that way, and I ran by. I'm late. I acted like I was in the band.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. Hey, man, I mopped floors at the Capitol Center because I wanted to be close to the bands, and I did. I hung out with Leonard Skinner, the original Skinner, when they were there.
I played that night.
You did?
Yeah.
What year was that?
Call Me the Breeze. It was
like 75, somewhere around there. 74.
No, it wasn't that night.
No?
I played with them there at about 1990.
Okay. Yeah, I was there for the original band. Ronnie, I bumped into Ronnie backstage, but I heard him rehearse, and that was when Saturday Night Special came out. And they were introducing that as a new song. Man, that was incredible.
So I'm gonna stand on the stage and I'm going and the guy comes out with a tuba and he goes doom boom 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 boom, and I went, oh shit, jazz rock.
Yeah,
it's rock with not jazz rock, country rock. It's rock with a country bass part underneath it. boom, 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 da 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 da, ba-da-da-da-da,
Who brought the tuba out?
the roadie.
Oh, the roadie? Yeah.
Yeah, they call him Tex now, but yeah, the roadie came out with a handheld tuba and played with the bass player.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Unbelievable. I might,
Is your band ever going to do a tour besides the, Maryland, DC area?
I hope so. I mean, we've been
Yeah.
working on this record for 3.5 years. I hope so.
You
Maybe
should.
it'll be part of enough of a demand that we'll have it. But I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We worked our hearts out on this
Mhm.
record.
It's a great, it shows. It shows, man.
All
It
right.
really does.
I
Paul,
hope
what's
it's
your,
not one of those CDs where you listen to it once and throw it in the trash can. I hope it's one that people
no,
can-
no. This is something I'll drive around listening to in the car when I go to the beach. It's a great,
There's
I love
nothing
it.
better than music that you drive around to. That's a compliment.
Paul, it's a pleasure, man. I feel like we're neighbors, since I grew up in your area.
No, you're what I call a townie,
I am a townie. Yeah.
Annapolis townie.
Well, I hope you come to Florida, come visit. And
Well, my kids have a house in Ramrod Key, and so I go down there and catch big cudas.
oh, good. Yeah.
I like catching really big barracudas. Here, I'll show
Wow.
you. Me.
Wow. Look at that. Holy cow. Look at that.
That's a
Huh.
small. They get bigger than that.
How do you catch a barracuda? How do you aim at catching a barracuda? What kind of bait do you
Use
use?
a lure about this long.
Wow. Really?
And you wind it into a curly cue. So when you
Uh-huh.
feel it, it goes zip through the water. They go nuts. They
Oh
come.
my gosh. Wow. Yeah, the
All right.
fishing's great down here, man. Just so you know, I'm in the Bradenton, Sarasota area. We got a lot of rock stars that live down here too.
That's Dickie Betts area.
Yeah, Dickie Betts. Yeah, I've covered Dickie many times. He's a good guy. He's retired now, basically.
I played at a club at Sarasota with big wooden club where the stage goes sideways. I love
Right.
it. Yeah, I've got friends down there. All right. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Paul, thank you so much, man. My best to you, the family, and everybody.
All right. Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.